Hello everybody and welcome back to Punting Pioneer. I'm Corbin Hosler and this is Boros Feather, or Boros Heroic, however you want to call it. But this is a sweet deck that is certainly on the aggressive side. Now I have heard some of you in the YouTube comments asking for slower control-y type decks, so got a couple in the works. But this week it is a Feather deck. Now, I've never actually played this. This deck existed in Standard. It's been around for a little bit in different forms, but here in Pioneer, it's gotten some new life as it basically fell off in Standard, but Reckless Rage has come with Boros Feather to Pioneer. So, break down what the deck does here. It all starts with Feather. It's a 3/4 flyer for 3. Tough mana cost, but you can make it happen. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, targets a creature you control, you exile it instead of putting it into your graveyard, then you return it to your hand. So the obvious combo, as I pointed out, is Reckless Rage, doing 4 damage to a target creature you don't control. 2 to 1 you do. No big deal to do 2 damage to your own Feather to kill one of their creatures and then get it back immediately. So the deck has a bunch of spells that target creatures, from Defiant Strike to pump the team, to God's Willing to protect it, the Reckless Rage, and Titan Strength, another pump spell as well. So the cards that work with it alongside Feather are Dreadhorde Arcanist. This one's great. 1/3 Trampler, great for targeting with spells. But the big one, whenever you attack with it, you can cast an instant or sorcery with CMC less than equal to its power. So guess what? All of our spells cost 1 with the exception of the Boros Charm. So Dreadhorde Arcanist can get any of these spells back. We also have 10th District Legionnaire. This is a great one that gets big. It's got haste, it gets counters, it scries, digs you through your deck into standby. Old standby here with the Swiftspear. So pretty straightforward deck once you actually see it. This is one I will point out here. We had the Favored Hoplite at the 1-drop spot, but Invigorated Rampage is the big one because you can give your creature trample, worth paying 2 mana for here. Or you can spread it out if you want to, depending on what the board looks like. So, sideboard, pretty straightforward. We've got some, I guess, when you need to gain life here with Swift Justice, some Fiery Impulses, Fries, Rest in Peace, Kari Zev's Expertise, Rabblemaster when you need to get those tokens, and Wear Tear for some utility. So, pretty straightforward sideboard. I'm looking forward to playing Boros Feather. I've never actually played this deck in any format until right now, so this should be fun. Thank you for watching, everybody. I know a lot of you are stuck at home like me, trying to sort of figure out how to get through this, but for the next hour, let's play Pioneer and have some fun with this Boros Feather deck. Thank you so much for watching. Hey everybody, welcome to Punting Pioneer. Here we go. I think I have to keep this hand. We're down to 6, but this hand seems pretty good. We've got a lot of spells, a lot of good cards that work here. I believe we're on the play, which also is nice. So we're going to go Hoplite into Swiftspear. We have a Reckless Rage after that, which is incredible with Hoplite. You actually get the counter on the Hoplite. You sort of get the prowess that sticks around in that sense. And hitting a land here is obviously just nuts for us. So just going to run out the 10th District Legionnaire. Nice thing at this point, all the creatures I have access to have haste outside of the Favored Hoplites here. So next time we're going to play Swiftspear up with the Reckless Rage's removal or the God's Willingness protection. My opponent just lost the game. Unless they have Force of Negation, I guess. Alright, Reckless Rage there and there. And I'm just going to get in with this amount of damage here. Look, we're so far ahead. My opponent's going to need a removal to get back into this. So I'm just going to keep open the God's Willing rather than play the Swiftspear there. There's just no reason to go for something like that. Now, my opponent with another Pyromancer here, this is actually interesting. This is a kind of card that could get them back into the game. The first one obviously didn't do anything, but if they have a 1-mana spell here, it could get fairly interesting. Of course, us having the ability to scry for the rest of the game is very, very powerful. Alright, so they do have 1 token here. Having scry tacked onto all the cards in this deck, the God's Willing and the Titan Strength, it's just very nice. Decks like this almost never get to control their draw step, so just getting to sort of naturally play 8 cards that scry 1 is really kind of a hidden power boost to the deck. All right, so yep, they're actually going to go for the block here. It's just so bad for them, though. All right, first thing is, can I win? If I cast 2 spells here, it'd get +2. This would get +2. That would be 4 and 3, 7. That's not enough, so just going to give this thing protection from red. And pretty much win the game anyways, right? This is, in all likelihood, going to do the same thing. By the way, this card also scries, so just all kinds of powerful sort of free deck selection in this brew that aggro decks don't often have access to. So our opponent loses the Pyromancer here. I don't really know what they're looking for at this point. We have a giant board. Missing a Mortars unkicked, or rather unoverloaded, is not going to be good enough. So I accidentally clicked through that, but this, God's willing, all this gets us there just the same. All right, there we go. So our opponent probably on some sort of combo deck, I guess. It was Teamer, it looked like. Suppose getting the rest in pieces is fine. They're likely to have removal. Defiant Strike seem pretty cuttable. I'm honestly not sure about my sideboard here. And the Boros Charm seem pretty good too. They can give your creatures indestructible, which can be obviously very, very powerful. So I will give something like this a shot. Yeah, that's the thing. I record with new decks every week. I'm never an expert at the sideboarding, and that's the kind of thing. Even if you see me play games that are super close, maybe I almost win, but I barely lose the match, I have a feeling that, you know, if you see a deck on here you like, you want to give it a shot, put some practice into it. You know, if you get to play more than the couple of warm-up games I get to play, you'll be able to make up some of those percentage points in your win percentage. So, but this one, at least, I think I understand. You play the creatures, you turn them sideways, and you pump them. I can figure this one out, but yeah, I mean, looking at my opponent's deck, I'm not immediately sure. I'm at home with a 3-year-old these days. Not a lot of time to keep up with the latest happenings in the Pioneer world. I'm going to go ahead and ship this one, I think. No one-drop creature, plus having an above-average number of expensive cards. Can't do that one. Unfortunately, probably going to have to do this one. Certainly don't love it, but I don't think we can mulligan it. I mean, we've got a Swiftspear and a Titan Strength to scry, and we've got a removal spell too, depending if that ends up being good. This hand has very high upside, and you know, I heard some pro say it best. I don't remember who it was, but every hand needs something to go right. Sometimes you need to draw another land. Sometimes you need no more land. Sometimes you need a 2-drop, right? Every deck has its own sort of ways that it can play out in the early turns. And unfortunately, sometimes that's what this deck does, is you have to keep a 1-lander and you just don't get there. So didn't actually get a chance to scry being on the draw here. So we'll see. If we don't draw planes and we lose, I mean, I guess we'll figure out what our opponent's doing, right? Castle Embereth. Okay, I like that. Charting, of course, so it's just got to be a Phoenix deck. All right, fair enough. Let's see if we can hit some lands here. That is decidedly not a land. If my opponent were to cast a creature, I would Titan Strength on it just to scry. Thing is, if my opponent is playing Phoenix, then these rests and pieces are very good, and they're not even doing anything right now. And now we have a Clifftop Retreat. We get to start trying to play the game a little bit. They're probably sitting on counter magic or something, but I'm just going to go for this rest in peace here. Okay. Don't really know what they're up to, but I mean, this is working out okay for us here. It's only Teamer colors, so it's not going to be any Bring Delights or anything. And there's our third land, so I actually don't want to go. I guess the Dreadhorde Arcanist got a little worse, but that's okay. We go for the Hoplite here. We have the God's Willing and the Titan Strength up here. And if my opponent cares about their graveyard and they remove the rest in peace, then we get to make use of our Dreadhorde Arcanist. As it stands, I guess. Guess they didn't want us to do that. All right, we do resolve the Arcanist, though, after the Essence Scatter on our first creature. We still have Feather. We were protecting that, kind of playing around the counter magic. And I believe that we would get to choose this replacement effect and still get our spells. So I mean, our opponent has 4 cards in hand, a bunch of lands. This Castle Windbreath tells me they're probably playing creatures, but just not real sure, I guess. But we'll get on in there with this thing. Now we even have a backup feather to go around. All right, they're showing life. It's a Rending Volley. Sure, Rending Volley taking down Feather. Number 1. There's more where that came from, though. Maybe we'll just attack him with a Dreadhorde Arcanist and pump it and kill him. We've got him down to 3 cards in hand. But, I mean, we're just sitting here on... I say gas. I mean, these cards are good. The thing is, they are only good in particular circumstances. You know, Reckless Rage could just easily be dead. Boros Charm and Titan Strength, if the window isn't right, don't really work. And we are trying to get creatures on the battlefield here. So our opponent running the old Wild Slash plus a Braid plan to get rid of Feather. So that's great for us. They find another land. They're down to 1 card. I mean, yeah, we're not exactly putting on a show here in terms of how fast we're killing them, but man, is it worth firing off this Titan Strength? Honestly, it might be. Just a Scry. Another Dreadhorde Arcanist I just don't think is what I want. Get in some damage here. Well, we have Boros Charm to give our creature indestructible if we need to. We can send forward our opponent's face. Stomp, huh? They're just actually going to be playing the... Alright, they stomp me. Now they're going to play the Bone Crusher Giant. Oh, that is a blocker. Fortunately... can Reckless Rage this thing. I'm going to have to take 2 damage, but that seems fine. Yeah, that's not really doing it for us. A little unfortunate this was our only payoff card left. That doesn't work out quite how we wanted it to. Alright, my opponent's going to show me what they're doing now. They're tapping a billion mana. Or not. They're going to Treasure Cruise, huh? Okay. Well, let's see if we can draw... Nope. I'm going to say, let's see if we can find a threat here. If we just draw Monastery Swiftspear or something. Goblin Rabblemaster, maybe? Wouldn't say no to that. Got our opponent down to 11, but they just refilled off their cruise here. They're back up to 4 cards in hand. Surely they're going to get back in the game. There's a young Pyromancer, so... yeah, this is going to get ugly for us. We certainly had a window. We just could not quite get there. You know, kind of had the wrong payoff. I mean, the thing is, these recipes were good. My opponent paid 8 mana for a Treasure Cruise, so they certainly did work out, but a Living Twister, huh? Okay. I think we're pretty dead here. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, so Trample seems good. I probably shouldn't have cut that one in the first place. I guess if my opponent's just all in on these super fair creatures, I'm just going to impulse them. Get on to 1 recipe. So I'd just rather be proactive than anything else. So I think being proactive with the creatures and not necessarily leaning on a reactive spell like the Rest in Peace is probably a fine decision. We already have the Reckless Rages. Do something like this. Cut down on the numbers a little bit. I'm keeping all the feathers. You know, it's an expensive one, so you kind of look at it to cut, but I think it's pretty good. Unfortunately, I don't think we can keep this hand. Oof. Alright. This deck is just very reliant on having 1-drops, you know, and if you don't have a 1-drop, you better at least have a 2-drop or something to get you there. And that first hand with just the feather in it, I just don't think that was quite good enough. Now, this is the kind of hand we like, right? This is the kind of hand that can stack up a lot of damage very quickly while also interacting with our opponent, and that's what we're looking for. And now, if we're able to find a land here for this Dreadhorde Arcanist, it gets very good. In fact, well, I don't want to do that. It's tempting just to try to scry to hit that land, but I probably just want to be able to Reckless Rage on the instep on their young Pyromancer here. Ah, it's a Mizium Mortars, you say. I can't even save it, can I? Because I can give it 4 toughness, which is still enough for it to die, so... Sure like to hit that land now. Oh, okay, another Swiftspear. That would have been an awkward one if I'd fired off the Titan Strength just for the Scry. And I saw a Swiftspear on top. I think I might have been stuck keeping it, but that would have been worse. So I'm glad we didn't do anything there. So a Braid takes that one down, though. You just give me a land. This game gets a lot easier if we find a land. Oh my gosh, it's a 3-drop. Well, this is the way it goes sometimes, I suppose. Your opponent has a very normal collection of spells, and you can't draw anything at all. And we have there's a bit of a downside to Reckless Rage. You can't cast it if you don't control a creature, so we can't do anything about the Pyromancer. Now we have no choice but to, try to run the Arcanist out there, but it's just way too late. Scatter takes it out. Our opponent has the Pyromancer tokens. I would say we need Feather to get back into this one, so we're going to have to hit a Plains off the top, and then hope that our opponent's out of removal. All of which, I won't lie to you, seems pretty unlikely for us. Yeah, their deck's pretty sweet. Double Pyromancer, huh? Okay, well, I have died. Good game. All right, that was pretty rough. Won't lie. Our mana base did not work with us, but hey, it's the way it goes sometimes. Let's jump into another, see if we can pick up a win. All right, here we go again with some more Boros Feather. This hand is a little questionable, I won't lie, but we're on the draw. I think it's a keep. We've got the ability to play out a bunch of creatures. Any land makes this hand obviously extremely good. The one thing we're actually lacking is much to trigger our heroic. We've got the Rampage and the Charm here, but no easy ones, no cheap ones. But our opponent is going to the storage counters here as we hit our second land. So that is a nice, that is a welcome development. I'll say that. That's a pretty slow start out of my opponent. With whatever they're trying to do over there, we hit the perfect card. We get in there with this. Now we get untap. We can Rampage to target both of them. This card is very good in the right draw. They're just going for it. All right, this thing officially makes mana now. They've ramped. I'm just going to keep running this out, I think. This might just be lethal next turn. Maybe not. If we hit a land, it might be with the Swiftspear. All right, let's see what they're going to do with that mana. And unexpected results. All right, my opponent's deck is sweet. Unfortunately for them, they got a Skyline Cascade. Oh, wait. This is a good one. It's not. So this won't untap. Okay, our creature will not untap. So I guess that kind of changes things. That land comes into play tapped. All right, I can swing in for 1. So it's 3 right now. This would add 4. That's 7. Plus 2 triggers. That's 9. So that's not enough. Sure thing, I guess. We'll keep the Swiftspear in case there's some board wipe of some kind or something coming up. I mean, I still probably do this as the thing. Just to get the Scry even. I will keep that on top. Seems pretty reasonable. All right, get him for 9. Put my opponent down to 3. The beauty of this is they're dead with obviously with nothing. But even if they were to clear the board here, we still just untap and Boros Swiftspear plus Boros Charm to kill him. So, or rather, I guess just the Charm would do it. But let's see what they're doing. I mean, they still have their counters here. Another unexpected results. The same. It's an Ulamog. That was unexpected. I won't lie. They even get the cash trigger out of it. How nuts is that? It's unfortunate for them. I guess they could have a Force of Negation or something. Otherwise, they'd just be dead, but... Huh. Okay. I guess that's a thing. So I guess I'll continue to play right then. What the heck? That was crazy. Let's see if... Okay, well, they just died, but wow, they did it. I mean, they unexpected results into an Ulamog. It doesn't get much better than that. All right, you may... I can get this one. I can take their creature. I'm in. If you're playing Ulamog at sorcery speed, I'm in. Wow, that was quite the game. Sorry, I just got to try to recover. I was like, oh, they probably got some stuff, but boom, Ulamog, they just did it. They even got to casted exile 2 things, but not quite enough for them. Kari's expertise seems pretty good. Gain control of target creature or vehicle until turn and tap it against haste. I mean, just the swinging for 10 is the irrelevant part here, not the exiling. I will keep this because of that. We do have the feather as well. This hand is obviously fairly slow, but with a sideboard card that I am valuing pretty highly because they'll probably do some amount of damage to themselves. Plus, we hopefully will begin a poke in for something, but that's just such a powerful one to have. And there we go. Here, it's going to cost us some life, but we at least get to present a threat to our opponent here, and it worked too. So, yeah, I mean, our hand is, like I said, this deck is very reliant on its 1-drops, but even having the Legionnaire here into the feather is going to be very strong when we untap. And heck, you even get the free spell out of this. Not something that comes up very often. Ah, Uro. Okay. And my opponent's got some powerful cards over there, that's for sure. They're doing the thing. This card is absurd. Back up to 20. Ramp, draw cards, just does it all. Well, it's a little bit of a blocker. Simic ramp, huh? Okay. I like that. Here's what I'm actually going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and play this out, and I'm just going to Reckless Rage before I attack. This works out perfectly. I get a bottom of feather that I don't think I want, and we get an attack for 5 here. So, I mean, look, we are feeding their graveyard for their Uro, but that is what it is. We've got to get a damage in when we can do it, and then hope that maybe, you know, they tap out to play an Uro once they have enough to escape it, and we can Kari's expertise it or something to try to get back into the game. But Shrine of Forsaken Gods is almost there. 7 or more lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they've got a lot of mana over there for an Hour of Promise, huh? This is not good for us. They had a great draw. Growth Spiral into Uro. Arboreal Grazer. All cards, I will note, printed very recently. I think there's a little bit of power creep going on these days. Alright, so the Skyline Cascade has returned on our 10th District Legionnaire. I accept. That's actually... I mean, I assume they're going to get Ugin or whatever next turn, but it's actually a lot less bad than I thought it might be. Also, just noting, I can get in for a bunch of damage this turn. Not going to do that. I'm going to play Feather here. Alright, because here's what I'm thinking. Let's say my opponent has what's the worst case scenario for us, right? They have Ugin. They exile the Feather and this. We then steal the Ugin, hit them for 12? No, it's not quite enough unless we hit a land. Ah. It is Ugin. I think I said Ugin. I'm sorry. I meant to say Ulamog before. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Ugin is actually even better against us, so this is worse. This is much worse. The thing is, we're not technically dead. As a matter of fact, my opponent can do... Well, depending on how many lands we draw anyways. Here's what I'm thinking. Huh. We can still win. My opponent... unless my opponent just kills me with Ugin here, we actually can just beat them casting Ulamog. They cast Ulamog, they exile 2 of my lands, then we hit a land, we Karizev's expertise, steal the Ulamog, cast a Titan Strike on it, and attack for 13. I have lethal here if I hit a land. Wow, that would be an insane way to win this game, that's for sure. I will say that. I wish I had... well, you know what? I can even get some scries in to do that. Oh, this is going to work out beautifully, actually. Okay. We're going to try to find this. We're going to see if we can do it. I think I might be able to. You know what? Inspiring Vantage. That'll do it. What an incredible game this was. Jeez. What a line. That's nuts. Attack you for 13. By the way, Exile 20. GG. What a match. That was actually nuts. I loved that. That was worth it all. Our opponent Ugin us, they Ulabogged us, and then we won anyways with Xaxes. Kari has expertise. MVP sideboard card right there. That was great. Let's see if we can pick up another one here. All right, here we go. More Boros Feather. This is a keeper. I believe we're on the play as well. So no 1-drop, but the 2-drop, the pump spell, the removal spell, the feather, the lands to cast it all. I mean, heck, maybe I could get greedy and ask for a Sacred Foundry instead of a Battlefield Forge, but this is a really nice opener for us. All right, don't know what they're up to. So that means we get to there. Asking you shall receive. That's a lot less damage I'm going to have to deal to myself just over the course of this match, just by drawing that Inspiring Vantage here. Still get a Slam Feather next turn if I want. There's also, since we do it's a rarity in this deck, but we have 4 lands. We could wait until turn 4, play Feather with the Reckless Rage open. Opponent could be playing this fairly, could be comboing us, could be Soul Flare. A lot of options. Let's just attack. I don't think my opponent's going to block, but if they do, we can go for the Defiant Strike. All right, so I'm just going to play out the Feather here. We don't know what our opponent is doing, but I don't think Sylvan Caryatid is necessarily... that's an indication to me of possibly very scary things for my opponent that I just need to go as fast as possible against. And looks like it is going the other way. They have the Dreadhorde, but... that's not like we had anything we could hit with the Reckless Rage anyways. It's a little different than having, say, a God's Willing open. And now we get in there. Monastery Swiftspear. Woo, it's a hard one. Monastery Swiftspear is a great draw here. We get a lot of value out of this. Still just going to pass back for now. We have the Reckless Rage open that we can use depending on what my opponent does. Maybe I should be more aggressive in firing some of these off, but I don't know if that's quite how I look at it. I like to go for the one big punch, especially when your opponents can not... they don't realize necessarily you can just do 12 damage out of nowhere. They all of a sudden don't block next turn, and then you just kill them. In this case, our opponent's going to go ahead and Thoughtseize. I guess they're probably taking the Titan Strength, and then they hope that I flood out. That's probably their best line. I do think in that instance, I probably should have played a Defiant Strike on the 10th District Legionnaire. I also get the Scry out of it that way. They're deep in the tank here. Obviously, we don't know what they're playing. If they're playing something like Tireless Tracker, then Reckless Rage becomes a lot higher priority for them to get rid of than, say, they're playing Soul Flare. And seeing the Dreadhorde over here, my opponent just playing Jund, it's... who knows, maybe they're playing Kroxa. They did take the Titan Strength. 4 mana for a Chandra. Okay, so this is pretty reasonable for us. Like, my opponent's going to go for this. And I cannot save it. We get to take out the Chandra, though. Or can I kill them? Defiant Strike makes the Swiftspear a 3. Titan Strength makes it a 7. Reckless Rage makes it an 8. Okay, so not enough. I'm just going to ignore this, though. I think I have to deal the big hit to them. And if we hit something good off this Defiant Strike, it might just kill them. But I need to get him low enough that Boros Charm or something would finish him off. There's a Favored Hoplite. Oh, do I Titan Strength? That's the question. I don't know what's on top of my deck. I think I go for it. It's just so hard not to when they're tapped out. And it very conveniently puts them to a life total where a Boros Charm does in fact kill them. I'm going to go ahead and bottom this. It's not a Boros Charm, and it's not a haste creature either, so. Alright, get him down to 4. That's Boros Charm range. Now we play out the Hoplite here. My opponent's got a chump block next turn. I guess they know we have the Reckless Rage in hand. So they know that we're looking to draw something, but we're in a position where a lot of our deck is lethal in one way or another here. Unfortunately, Murderous Rider for them is a pretty good one. Reckless Rage goes a long way for us. If they have a land in hand, they could use the Swift In side of this and also play it. If they have a swamp, they're just going to play it. Okay. Actually, don't know about that line for them, because now I get a Reckless Rage to kill it on my turn and attack, and I can even get the Prowess trigger out of it here, which I guess doesn't matter that much. It's still a free chump block for my opponent. Unfortunately, Sacred Foundry is not going to kill them. But I can use this to take out Chandra now. So we accomplished what we wanted to last turn, in that we put them within that Boros Charm range or one pump spell range. But now we also get to clear the board, take the Chandra down. So this, I think, works out pretty well. Maybe I should hold that land to bluff a God's Willing, but I don't really think my opponent could afford to play around anything anyways. They're just going to have to play the removal that they have. But yeah, we remove their card advantage engine in the Chandra. They're in a situation where now next turn, Nissa is a good one though. Nissa is one of the few cards that allows them to maybe turn the corner fast enough. Also heavily restricts our outs here. So all of a sudden now we're looking, we need Invigorated Rampage or the Boros Charm. I think those are what we need, and unfortunately that Plains is neither. Well, this card's not been fair since they printed it in any iteration of any modern deck it's ever been in. Pioneer deck, rather. Wow, the Glorybringer even. Okay. Is that lethal? I count 10. So we get to take one more hit here and try to top deck a Boros Charm. Fair enough. See if we can do it. I guess Invigorated Rampage is maybe also an out. Another Swiftspear is not, though. GG. Alright, Jund. That was all pretty good. Man. I won't lie, I do not have the most outs against some of that. The Rabblmasters are probably good. I assume the impulses are good. Yeah, we just desperately need to be able to beat Nissa. I think that's probably the scariest thing our opponent showed us there. But let's see if we can get a nice aggressive draw here and follow it up. That last hand for us, it was close. You know, we gave ourselves some opportunities to win the game, right? And sometimes that's all you can do is, you know, your opponent's going to go over the top of you eventually. You get in what you can, when you can, to try to win, if you can get lucky. And it didn't happen that game. But I think we're reasonably well set up. I mean, we certainly can be a lot faster than our opponent. The Rabblmasters also allow us to play through some amount of removal. And here we have a hand that I can most certainly keep. Now, this is not exactly where I pictured having the impulse. I was kind of hoping to have those in sort of a situation where I drew it late, and maybe we use that to answer the Nissa land. As it stands, though, Hoplite, I guess I got a lot of options here. It's got to see what we draw, and just my opponent's going to make it a little easier with the Thoughtseize, but I don't know what you take if you them. Probably the 10th District Legionnaire at this point, just, yeah, because it has the scry attached to it. All right, it's another Inspiring Vantage. Don't have to deal damage to ourselves. Now, not having any way to trigger any of these is obviously a problem. That's something this deck can occasionally run into, where you just have all the creatures and none of the spells, especially we boarded out. Remember, this would have been a Defiant Strike if it wasn't a Fiery Impulse. So, I maybe a little bit punished there, but I still think we wanted these. Unfortunately, drawing these lands is not going to help much. Now, I could target one of these with the Fiery Impulse, and were it a 10th District Legionnaire, that might actually be something worth considering, but not in this case. All that said, we are actually dealing a little bit of damage to our opponent, at least. We've got him down to 12. I mean, we just need one spell, one pump spell off the top, and we're going to start looking much, much better. Our opponent's Sylvan Caryatid flooded over there. Ah, there you go. Ask and you shall receive. That's a nice one. So my opponent's going to block. So I'll figure out what I want to target with it. Almost a case for just targeting the Monastery. Well, it's almost a case for just doing 5 damage to my opponent. Yeah, truthfully, that's what I'm going to do. I get a scry here. Because removing... They've got 3 Caryatids. They're going to have some Caryatids. I mean, doing this, getting in some damage, getting to find a way to hopefully do something with it is... It's another Swiftspear. That is the 4th creature to go around the Caryatids. There's just no way I can keep that. We're not in the market for one more point of damage right now. We are in the market for an Invigorated Rampage to win the game. Unfortunately for us, now, this is the turn where my opponent gets to go wild. They're even shocking themselves with this Blood Crypt. They got 7 total mana and then 5 of it for a Glorybringer. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. Hoplite down. That said, if we hit a good spell here, we still can pressure our opponent. Titan Strength is kind of what we were looking for, not going to lie. This thing's exerted, remember, so it's not going to untap next turn. Now, in this case, I do have to do this for a couple reasons. I mean, one, they can't just be allowed to free block, but also getting the scry here is pretty important for us because we're going to need a good one next turn, and I think I got to keep that. Who knows, my opponent might even do damage to themselves. I can also get another counter on this Favored Hoplite by throwing a Fiery Impulse at it, should I need to. My opponent's just snap passing the turn back to us, so I do like that. Let's see what they choose to do here. Yeah, they're going to go for the double block. I guess I just have to Boros Charm, right? And then I do this. So we have our opponent at 1. We've taken out both Sylvan Caryatids. So the thing is, now the Glorybringer does get to untap, and it gets to kill one of these. But then my opponent's at 1. So Unfortunately, they have cast down, but the problem is we have a lot of haste creatures, so I don't blame my opponent for attacking here. They pretty much have to, but we have a bunch of haste creatures to dig us out of this if they don't have, say, a Murderous Rider to follow up. So, big draw step. Once again, coming down to the top of our deck, and you know what? This one allows us to play. That is a threat. That's a lethal threat. My opponent's Glorybringer doesn't untap. And more than that, if they have a blocker instead of removal, it gets to cast a spell out of our graveyard and win. So the number of outs they have to this is actually a little bit more limited. That said, they're tapping all the mana for an Erebos' Intervention, huh? I have to say, that was a pretty good card to have as your last card in hand. I can't play this because the Glorybringer untaps. It would just eaten it. But by keeping it in my hand, I've won two Titan Strengths that I've cast. I can draw Titan Strengths to swing in for exactly 6. You know what? Defiant Strike's worth trying, I guess. We get a Scry. Also have another Boros. If this hit gets through, we have another Boros Charm. That would win us the game. Fortunately, our opponent seems to have it all here. Feather, you're just a little too late. I think that we're just dead now. Wow, what a tragedy. Both of these games were just so close. My opponent was down to 1. Their last card was an Erebos' Intervention. That was pretty powerful, so I think that we have died here. And that's the way it goes sometimes. Great matches, though. I mean, look, this deck was really close. I won some of the warm-up games I did that I didn't record. And you saw the razor-thin margins on these, difference between going 1-2 and going 3-0. But there you go, everybody. Boros Feather. The deck is honestly pretty neat. That was a lot of fun. That was a really interactive game against my opponent, back and forth, super close, small margins. That was an enjoyable one to play. And so, everybody, thank you so much for watching Punting Pioneer. As always, I will be back next week here on Cool Stuff every Thursday. Mining Modern, Punting Pioneer, alternating week to week. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.